My secret affair. My name is Olivia, and what I'm about to confess might make you judge me. But please, just listen. I was born into a world of struggle, a life where survival was the only priority. My family barely scraped by. My mother, a woman of no formal education, did her best to keep us together. My father? A carpenter by trade but a reckless man by habit. His earnings never made it home, wasted instead on alcohol and other women. We were 4 children and I was the eldest. That meant one thing: I had to be the one to fight. I had to be the one to find a way out. My childhood was a nightmare. My father's absence, my mother's silent suffering, and the piercing judgment from those around me shaped me into someone who felt invisible. But the worst part? Living under my uncle's roof. He took me in when my father failed us, but his wife never let me forget that I was nothing but a burden. Her words cut deep. She never missed an opportunity to remind me that I was the daughter of an irresponsible man. Why should my husband waste his money on someone else's mistake? She would hiss at me when no one else was listening. At 13, I learned what it felt like to be unwanted. I cried myself to sleep every night. By the time I was 16, I had been forced to drop out of school because there was simply no money. For 2 years, I worked as much as I could to save up for my education. But the pay was low, $250 a month. And then, the final blow, my uncle gave me an ultimatum. If you can't raise $3,500 in a year, you're not serious about going to school. It was like a dagger to my chest. How could I make that much and still afford food, transportation, and basic needs? But failure was not an option. Then came Michael. He wasn't my dream guy, and I didn't fall in love with him the way fairy tales describe. No, Michael was simply an escape. He was there and he listened. When home became unbearable, I found comfort in him. He made me feel wanted, even if just for a little while. But as quickly as he came into my life, he left. He got into nursing school and found someone better. Someone with less baggage. And just like that, I was alone again. Then, there was David. David was older, powerful, and, most importantly, married. He saw something in me, or maybe he just saw my desperation. He started helping me financially, giving me more than I had ever had at once. For the first time in my life, I had control. With what he gave me in just a month, I was able to cover my tuition, hostel fees, and even buy necessities for school. I told myself it was temporary. I promised myself I would leave him once I was stable. But David became my safety net. He was kind to me. He treated me like I mattered. And after years of feeling like nothing, I wasn't ready to let that go. But I knew the truth. I knew his wife. She was a pastor's secretary, a woman of faith, a woman who trusted her husband. I knew his son. He was a student in the very school I worked at, and I knew what I was doing was wrong. David says he loves me. He says he wants to marry me. But my mother, she would never agree to me being a second wife. And society? Well, society would destroy me. I'm trapped. Do I walk away now, risking everything I've worked for? Or do I stay until I finish school, knowing that every day I am part of a secret that could ruin lives? What should I do?